designated home school? What-
These are, as I understand it, these are children that are currently, there are students, they live in our district, they've been identified for programs and services that that they can only receive those services in their home because of their very special needs.
Right, no, that's what I'm saying, the majority of them, I believe, are home hospital, right?
Yeah, there's a question. Go ahead, take the podium.
Thanks. We already have a home hospital program, so we're already running that, so that's separate. Home hospital separate, we're already running.
Then why do we need to hire another
It's different,
teacher?
it's different,
Because this
it's
is for
different.
the instructional portion of the instruction, this would cover the instructional services that may be on their
IEP, no, but,
These are students that are severe.
no, I
to
know,
moderate,
I know that, I know.
But
But I'm trying to go, if we have students in home hospital and we have a teacher that we're providing the curriculum for,
No.
It's not due to IEP needs, it's due to a medical need, our home
Yeah, so they're two
hospital.
different
program.
so you're saying these kids could possibly be.
General ed.
No,
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
Then why wouldn't our home hospital person cover that teacher?
We use
Well-
substitutes right now.
No, you're
Well, no,
getting
sorry,
two
no.
programs confused.
Okay,
So let me
I
think-
take a
yeah,
step
we-
back.
let me get some
We need to
clarity
look
on this.
at
Let me
the
get
credentialing
some
needs
time
of this
to
program.
change.
So we
Answer the
have
question.
3 students that are being serviced at AB Ingham, and they're special ed students, they have IEPs, so it's beyond their physical condition that Dan's program, and they offer home hospital instruction. So it's cognitive and special, so.
No, I understand
And
that.
it requires a special credential, just like we have special ed teachers providing special ed services teachers. They have different credentials versus a general ed credential teacher. So that's why this is the requirement, that's why this job description has been drafted, because we don't have that in the present. The county is providing those educational services, and now the direction that the county is taking is they're asking that the districts, the residents, district residents provide the credentialed special ed teachers.
So are we going to we are going to send a teacher up to Ingham,
No,
correct?
to the home.
But you just said these students are at Ingham.
They are until we have the appropriate staff to provide them the instruction at home. So they're allowing us to go through this process, create a job description, provide the opportunity for teachers to apply. Then we have our identified staff.
So if they are our students,
Yes.
they're our students, let's say Mrs. Rodriguez, they're in your school.
If she were a teacher at Ingham. Yes.
No, she is a teacher at.
But they're not in her-
Veron-
no.
No,
ahead,
hold
go
on,
ahead.
please. They're at Ingham due to the severity of their needs. Would you be the person, let's just say, that would be the case manager of the IEP? You would say, okay, speech, whatever they need within the IEP. Now, if we hire this new person, do they then become the case manager, or are they only the facilitator of the IEP that you guys presented and wrote?
I believe that from what, I don't know very much about it, but if you're asking me, I believe that they would be giving just those services in the after-school hours, just those services. So not writing
IEP service.
IEPs, just the IEP services.
So then therefore, what I'm getting at in this, let's say I don't know if that's all encompassing, because they could go to Ingham, they're our students, they're at home, but let's say they required a language speech person. Do we have a home for that? Because this can grow immensely, that's why
Right.
I'm
Well,
asking.
Mr. Larson, part of what happened was we were, as I said, told during the summer that the county would no longer provide this instruction in the home. And it's my understanding, and I haven't seen the IEPs, that those students are basically homebound, and that this teacher will provide whatever instruction is called for on the IEP.
That I understand.
Okay,
What I'm going, if you're saying, for example, at Ingham, if the student was at Ingham and the IEP, they've been homebound, who priorly wrote the IEP for them to get the service? I'm saying this
I
is.
think that the personnel at Ingham wrote the IEP.
So, okay,
But we
that's.
can, but you know what, we can bring that clarification back next time, Mr. Harrison. So
Well, I'm just saying, because I don't want to be, you don't want to have this person, all of a sudden, you're going to throw these 3 cases at them, and then they're going to be going, oh my God, I can't provide. We got to know our clientele, so to speak, what we're servicing. And a lot of times at Ingham, well, that's another, that's just what I'm saying. It's going to,
Yeah, so I think that the qualifications and the responsibilities are written in such a way to describe the types of responsibilities.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I'm just saying, this is very similar to what a home hospital person, I believe, will do. Pretty similar. And that's why I asked it, why wouldn't a home hospital do it? But if we are, it's just, my questions are going more in depth in special ed that I think you need to address.
But I think those are good questions that we'll try to get the information.
And also at the same time, I'm going to interrupt, but at the same time, do call in the staff or visit the staff and say, you know, I have a question on this at this point before we come here to the meeting. Because it does take up some time and all the work that's been put together. Outreach out there for potential teachers. If you can also work together, 2 departments working together, and making sure we get some quality applicants in there too in the future.
Well, I didn't make a comment on that. I mean, it's a little late for that, but I'll be quiet.
Okay, we're going to go on to the next item because this will come back to us. Thank you very much. Titus, personnel and special ed working together. Under curriculum, this is an item that calls information and student data, past practices and current needs. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, this is going to be as brief of an overview as Virginia and I can give on a pretty dense topic. And actually, Carol, you gave me a great intro earlier. When she was saying in her comments that we have a lot of new programs that we've begun with the LCAP, and we need to make sure that we're monitoring them and monitoring our students' progress in them and their effectiveness. That's actually a requirement of the LCAP. And we'll get into that. I will warn you that when you look at the slides, there's a lot of information. She's not going to read it. No. Okay.
Yeah, that's why it was provided.
Yeah, so the information is provided. What this is going to talk a little bit about how we've used data in the past, what data we've used, and then what the LCAP is calling for, and then some of the new data that our new programs are going to be providing.
And then I also have actually, there were minor revisions done to just like maybe 1 or 2 words on the slides, but I still have here the actual revised slides for you. And I have to, color 15, there's enough for that. Okay. Well, good evening. My name is Virginia Garza Nunez, and I am the PSA for Assessment and SIS. So good evening, President Garcia, Superintendent Dr. Gisa, board members, and audience. I'll start with that first slide. So basically, review of the data points and analysis practices in the past. So it was actually kind of said before that there's parts of that missing on the slide. The nickel beam. Somehow I got the top parts, all this got cut off on the PowerPoint. Okay, well anyways, what's missing here is actually, but I think the actual PowerPoints have it. right? It's on there? Yeah, I don't know what happened to the tabs because the one I sent actually had them. It has this first area basically is what we were on before, what we've been in the past, which is from Nickleby, which is the CSTs, Kappa, CMA, and that's where we got the measurement of API, AYP, and then also PI on there. So you see the PI here, and there's the AYP, and then API and AYP is up in the top. So I apologize for it being cut off here. I don't understand that. And then so what it said there too is that the significant subgroups that we were actually looking at were the bullets that are should be on here are English learners, Hispanic and Latino, white, socioeconomically disadvantaged, and then you can see there are students with disabilities. Okay, and so basically on this far corner are the data that we looked at was actually at more of a district level, looking at subgroups, and we looked at the subgroups that the state actually required. Okay, and then for CELT, that's meeting adequate yearly progress for AYP for the English subgroup. And we also made presentations to the board yearly, to DLAC, to DMAC, parents presentations, and then the schools would actually, the principals would make presentations to their staff and then also to parents, whether it's on school site council or a parent monthly meeting on the results of that. So then we also had, for last year, we had district benchmarks, which we will continue this year. And our benchmarks were in ELA, math, BPST, which are the basic phonics, fluency in writing. We actually were on the older standards last year, which were the California standards. We focused on the ICANNs, now we're going into the Common Core. And actually we introduced the Common Core last year too. So we look at the data analysis of the benchmark data and leadership teams, grade level, collaboration meeting. And then we also had intervention data from System 44, Gateways, and then Start Reading, which is the AR. And that was actually discussed either with in PLCs, placement progress monitoring, ongoing diagnostic and format writing assessments. Okay? So then, I'll make sure it's not cut off.
So now, that was the old world. Here's a little bit about the new one, that is LCAP and LCFF. And these are actually, the slide presents some of the recommendations from a nonprofit research group called PACE, the Policy Analysis for California Education. It is a joint project of the graduate departments of education from Stanford, USC, and Berkeley. And I want you to take a look at number 3 at the top. In one of the recommendations, this is kind of a review of the studies they've been doing on the implementation, the problems, the issues districts are grappling with to construct and now implement their LCAP. One is to construct a comprehensive education data system and design and implement policies in ways that support learning about what works and what does not. And I think this is what Carol was speaking to. You're right there with Stanford, Carol. Then there's also, PACE identified 4 critical areas where research suggests that you need to invest your new resources in. And again, I'm going to bring you down to number 4, information data systems and technology. Districts can and should build data systems to track the implementation and impact of local innovations under LCFF. And that's really where we need to turn our attention to. So now we're going to take a look at, one more? Yeah. This is actually from a blank sheet of the LCAP. And you'll notice here it's identified need and metric. The metric is how are you going to measure whether or not you're meeting that goal? How have you identified, through what metric, and then how are you going to measure it? Then you can notice for the goals, it has applicable pupil subgroup. Okay? And then annual update, the analysis of the progress. We are going to need to analyze the progress of each of our subgroups in each of our goals. That's a huge data task. And right now, we don't have the capabilities to do that with our current data systems.
And the reason why it's so huge is because actually the reason why we put the end code here is that the number for the subgroup has changed now. So this year now it consists of at least 15 pupils. And before with the API and AYP it was 100 at the school site for each to be a significant subgroup at that site. So that's also drastically different. And we've also added another one with foster youth. So all of the different data that's asking, it's going to be asking for actually each of those. So that and the program that they're in. Okay, so with the next one, this is a lot. And I like to give a lot because that way you have it in front of you, but basically this is just an overview of what our local assessments are here for 2014 and 15. We're always trying to make it better. And so as you can see just from the top, we start with preschool, and TK is theirs all the way to what we're going to be doing for ELA and SLA. SLA is the Spanish language arts. Reading, what we're going to have there for as an assessment too, and then fluency, writing, and then math. And so basically it tells us here what are the names and what language we'll be offering it, what grades will be applicable, and then when will it be given, and then how. So whether it's an observation tool, whether it's the data is entered automatically or individually, and then what the data will provide. Okay, and then on the next page, these are actually the assessments for L1 Spanish, because by law too, any student that has, as we know, in their home language survey, that has another language than English, and here in Spanish, we actually have to test the L1, so that's what we use pre-loss and loss links, what grade also, and how it's done, and what data will be provided, and then what we're going to be offering for our reading intervention programs. The names, the same thing. What language, grade, when, how, and what data will be provided. And then the next page actually has what is required from us from the state, at the state level, the CASP. Before it used to be called the STAR, now it's the CASP, the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress. So as you all know, we were introduced to the Smarter Balance last year. We will continue to do that. And so there will have all the tests that the state actually is requiring. What type of tests are they? And the legends down at the bottom. And then who are going to be the participants, what grade levels, and then what content or domains are tested. And just so I can throw out, every 4 years, they actually test the, under NAEP. And the, I don't know how to say that acronym, but it's the TIMSS, which is the Trends in International Mathematics and Science Study. And for the NAEP, Loma Vista 4th graders have been chosen this year. So that's going to be additional data that we're going to need to be our additional tests that our students are going to have to be taking at Loma Vista. And at Laurelwood, it's going to be the Trends in International Mathematics and Science. So with this, basically, as Lori was saying, LCAP is asking for a lot of data. And so I'm a very visual person, and so just so that you all see, and I'm also left-handed, that's why I'm so used to standing on this side. But here we have our school student information system. So we have Power School, and that's where we keep our attendance. That's where we have a lot of our demographic suspensions that actually go to the state. We keep our foster youth EL. We also have Axiom, another company that covers truancy. We also have to feed that information to CalPADS. That's the California Student Information System, and then we also have to track migrant.
Okay, so
Yes.
how many different databases would that be?
Well, here we have one, just in this box alone, we have 1, 2, 3, and then 4, just in this box alone here, okay? And then on data and assessment systems, then we have ORS, and then we have series, which is our special ed. Nonprofit management systems, there's BEST, our after school, JOSAD, Boys and Girls Club, if they have any that we can actually know what students are going there. On student behavior systems, we have SWIS, we have also Power School, because they can do logs there too, and then Alveus. And then blending learning systems, we have Star Reading, System 44, Gateways, and Imagine Learning. So those are all different databases, okay? And so all of those, we have to try to, all the umbrella subgroups from the LCAP, we have to see how they're doing in all these, because there's a lot of them programs, how the programs are working.
So in a nutshell, we have a lot of databases and a lot of data sources, but the databases, the data systems don't talk to each other. They're all separate. And that is an analytical nightmare. I guess I can see that.
Yeah.
So what we need to look for, if we are realistically going to accomplish this task, and it's a worthy task, we really do need to, is locate a system that captures the data from all these various sources onto one dashboard. And because we're not alone in this need, they're now beginning to be developed in Silicon Valley and all over California. We recently did have a presentation from one group that we understand is sort of leading the way with it. It's called iResult. We had, during our administrative meetings before the beginning of the year. And that does this. It works with these various vendors, database folks, and captures it like a sponge onto one database. iResult is actually now been contracted with by the county office. The county office is charged with collecting all the foster youth data from all the districts in the county and monitoring that. And so they are actually using iResult, and we will be having a agreement to allow them to come into our databases and just capture our foster youth data. So we're not proposing anything now, but we just want to let you know that there is this task, and we're up to the challenge, but we're going to need some tools. And so we will be inviting folks who have developed products that can speak to us, share it with us, and then come to you as soon as possible with a recommendation on a way to go. Yes, Carol? I saw that. Is that right?
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I'm just wondering now, this new program, is that going to take away some of the old, any of the old? Is it going to replace, or is it going to replace any of the old things that we're using? Or is it going to just be sort of an overarching? So
this is for data analysis. It isn't at the classroom level for teachers.
Right.
It is something that school sites principals would be looking at to take a look at their site-based programs. It isn't going to replace ORS. Okay,
Or
teachers
anything.
will all have
Yeah.
access to that. For those of you who were ever System 44 or Read 180 teachers, we will still have SAM. You'll still be doing your attendance on Power School, Power Teachers. So those are there, but for when you need to get to the data analysis, it will capture it so that you can look at it together. It's a, I guess you could say, I don't know the term, a platform.
It's a one platform, puts it all in one platform.
So it's in addition to what we have.
Right.
Oh, yeah, it wouldn't, because all of those, like, for example, the accelerated reader with Renaissance Learning, actually, it's one of the cool things I'd like to share is that this year, when you get your STAR reading reports, it's going to include Lexile levels that will really assist you in tracking your students' progress. None of those vendors, for example, speak to ORS. We can't upload any of that data into ORS, but they will assign agreements, and with, for example, with certain developers like iResult, and allow them access to their databases to kind of suck it up like a sponge. That's, sorry for the low-tech analogy, but okay.
Any question? Ms. Carol? Ms. Rodriguez?
That was good, thank you.
Lauren?
I have several questions, and I apologize for not talking to you before, but on the 1, 2, 3, the fourth slide, when you had all of the different data assessments, I'm wondering how is the reading assessment, which is the third one down, how is it different, the STAR different than it was in the past? Is the reading going to be exactly the same for STAR, or will it be different?
Well, as I was saying, there is a new version of it, and it's in the interface of it with the student. It's an adaptive program that identifies the student's level of comprehension. It isn't like this scholastic phonics inventory. It does measure comprehension. It will interface with the student very similar, but there are now in this new version, a wide variety of reports that will be available for teachers, including correlations to the Common Core, to say that the adaptive assessment shows students need some assistance here, they've hit a wall with this Common Core state standard, and it will give the Lexile level, which is a numeric measure that identifies where a student is in their instructional reading level by the grade level by month.
Okay, good. The next question I have is about the oral reading frequency. And according to this chart, you are recommending that it only be done if the child is at grade level, that it doesn't need to be done again. But personally, as a teacher, my recommendation is that we have a pre and a post. I mean, I don't think that we need to test it every month or anything like that, but it is incentive for the students if they see where they are, and then we can see where they went. And I don't know if you're eliminating that, but it sounds like
No, but, and the reason why, and I'll explain to you why it came to that. What's happening is that we meet and pick, and a lot of the times is that we have so many assessments. And a lot of times we're over-assessing the students. So we said, what can we assess? What do we need to assess? And what can we eliminate? So if you see there, when it says that in the print, it says ORF, which is the oral reading in English, only for 4th or 6th grade students scoring below grade level on that STAR reading baseline in August. So they need to continue doing the STAR, because the STAR will give you an equivalent. So if they're below grade level in the STAR, then they will continue to do the actual fluency all year long. But they're actually doing reading in the STAR anyways. So the teachers were very pleased with that, because they said, yeah, because they're doing STAR and they're doing fluency, when a lot of times we have a conversation, are we getting the same data? What data, what's, doubled up? What can we maybe, get rid of, so that way there's not as much testing. So that's the reason why they came to an agreement on that. And that went through actually PIC.
Yeah, our program improvement and curriculum team. And please notice this is just for 4th through 6th.
Right.
Our emerging readers, our beginning readers, 1st through 3rd, will not be exempt. They will be closely monitored. But if a student in the fall baseline, in August, we should have this data by the end of August, if they're reading at grade level on the STAR reading, then we're not going to give them the fluency baseline 4 times a year. And if they continue to maintain every trimester to show that they are at reading at grade level on the STAR, then we will also not give them the fluency in 4 through 6. But any student who's reading below grade level, their fluency should be monitored.
just 2 more questions. One is, I'm concerned about the math test being online for 3rd graders, because not all 3rd graders have the keyboarding skills. So how do we take care of that?
Well, you're talking about the actual math where it says STAR Enterprise on the bottom? Or are you talking about the state one?
The state one.
That we have really no choice. I mean, that's by the state. In order for it to be if you want the test to actually be adaptive, you have to take it online. I mean, you do have the choice, but they highly do not recommend it to be on paper. You're not going to have it adaptive. It's not going to be as it's not going to have all the different learning modalities, like all the technology, the videos, all that. It's just basically taking a test on multiple choice, or it's very limited. So
I understand that. I'm just worried. I guess I'm worried that all of our kids don't have the keyboarding skills that they need as a basic in order to go ahead and do the math.
And and that was all of ours, and I think it still is of the teachers, but I think we could say with the last year when we actually did the SBAC, the scientific portion of it, we were very surprised at how well the students are, not that they're fluent in it, but how well they adapt. Because we have to remember, students are born into technology. They're not afraid to push buttons and see what happens. As adults, we're actually afraid. We need to know what happens before we start pressing buttons. So, as I was saying, they were actually taking the test and and doing what they had a hard time was understanding what was being asked of them to do. That was where their real actual challenge was.
And on the issue of keyboarding, Janet, we will continue last year. Once we brought in the Chromebooks, we began an adaptive keyboarding program called Typing Club that students can practice their typing skills. So we will continue to have that this year for students.
you had said both Loma Vista and Laurelwood are going to be doing these different assessments, and you said they were chosen. Were they chosen, or were they volunteers, or how did
No,
that
they were
work?
chosen by the state.
They were chosen by
Yeah,
the state.
we get,
How did that happen?
every 4 years, the state writes us a letter and says, this is the actual schools that was chosen for Nate, this is the school that was chosen for. Yeah, we have no choice in who to actually select. Yeah, it's a state, you can actually go onto the NAEP process and look on there on CDEs, and they'll tell you that they select the schools.
Interesting.
Now, there are incentives too, though, for the teachers that actually take them, so, yeah.
And then lastly, I just hope that,
I want to go to that.
that's the best one.
I know.
I hope that once we get some of the preschoolers and figure out what kind of system is going to put it all together, it'd be really nice for all of us to see where we're starting and where we need to go. Because if we just wait till the end and this is where we are, we don't really know what happened between A and B. And it needs to be streamlined, it needs to be accessible, it has all those things, because the public needs to know, the parents need to know, the teachers need to know. So my concern in the past was that it's been inaccurate data, and it's no one person's fault, but it's been inconsistent, the input hasn't been right. So when we're looking at these scores, we really don't know, except for maybe the national norm, that they're correct. So I just hope that we can pull all this, I know this is a monumental task, but pull it all together so that we can get a real clear picture about where our children are.
I agree.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much. My goal was until 8:30, but we'll continue under business. The second, number 2 is curriculum. Bologna Meadows, Los Padres, University Park. Presentation.
Los Padres is gonna.
Oh, Los Padres, okay. Los Padres will go first. Thank you.
Good evening, Board President, Dr. Lusa, board members, and community. First of all, I would like to introduce the new Vice Principal for Los Padres, Susana Vargas.
Good evening.
My name is Gabriel Ramirez, and it's my pleasure to be here with you this evening. So, at Los Padres, we've been working with 788 students. That was at the summertime. Right now, we're closer to 800 students. At one point, we did had over 800 students enrolled. Los Padres does have a dual immersion program, two-way, and this is their 15th year of that program. We are at 97% Hispanic and Latinos, as well as 75% English language learners, 92% socioeconomics, and 5% with students with disability. Just looking at, I'm going to step back a little. Just looking at the students for goal 1 in our LCAP, students will be demonstrating growth in reading language arts, mathematics, and ELD, and in getting the input from the community, teachers, and administration. We're going to be working on having the after-school program, best program, and those are part of what the district is providing. But at the same time, we're going to continue to have Monterey County Reads through the Panetta Institute. We're going to have collaboration with the Hartnell College NASA SEMA to set up a fall and spring academy for the students so they could begin to continue to integrate the sciences, the ELD, reading and writing. Now, the math club we brought up last year, and we're pursuing to actually have students that are in college pursuing a math degree to possibly come in to our campus and help out our students with their mathematical skills and improve upon that. We're also setting up, we have the after-school homework center. That is a collaboration that we have with Cesar Chavez Library. We also have several teachers from Cal State Teach that have come in and been placed there and provide assistance to our students. Now, we do have the instructional aides, ILF, plus we're also going to be having 2 other IAs coming in and working with our students and focusing on phonics for reading to get those students up at the reading level. We have a Success Maker that is school-wide, and we're going to possibly begin to implement that, set up our schedule so that way we could be able to have that for all the students. We have AmeriCorps tutors to help out our migrant ed students, as well as a celebrated reader. And let me tell you, the students are very, very excited because we're planning out some incentives for the students. Something that I wasn't able to add here that just came upon recently is that Hartnell College has an education program, and the gentleman that's in charge of that, he and I are going to be meeting to possibly have some service learners come into our school. Goal number 2, Los Padres will be a safe and healthy place in which students, staff, and families will work and learn together in a positive way. One of the things that we've been doing is we're going into the 2nd year of the implementation of the Ovejas Bullying Prevention Program. We also have restorative justice, and I added PBIS there. One of the things that we've learned is that all 3 of those programs can be integrated very, very succinctly. And during the summer, the Ovejas Bullying Prevention Committee met, and we began to discuss ways to implement all 3. So we've actually come up with that plan. And as we were doing that, our coordinator, the Ovejas Bullying Prevention Coordinator from Harmony at Home, actually contacted the gentleman from Oregon State who does PBIS and said, yes, we are already working on a way to mesh things together. So they're actually applying for federal funds to help us out with this as well. We have Sticks and Stones Counseling. Thank you, board, for approving the other counselor there. Parents are very wanting this need because they do see that the children do have a lot of things that happen in their community and at home. We have Yosal, which is housed there, particularly for the kinder and 2nd grade. I just got an email while I was waiting here, and they're getting ready to start in about 2 weeks. So we're going to be setting that up. We have student sports to keep them safe on campus and not off the streets. We are working with the families and other community members so that we can actually give them, give the younger students more opportunities. Some of the parents have children in kinder, 1st grade, and say, how can we set up some soccer games? So, and one of the things to help us out with this is one of our librarian aide's husband works for an irrigation company. She made a couple of goalposts for PVC, so that kind of integrates the whole new program, Playworks. So that way we can kind of begin to set those up so the kids can play there. And Just Run, I got thumbs up from the staff that they want to do it, and as you can see a picture here of, and that's not all the students, we went out and ran. We got 3rd place as far as the number of participating based on the percentage and the amount of students that we have in our population. And this young lady here is an Olympic marathon runner that was there. So the kids had a lot of fun, as did I. Goal number 3, Los Padres will engage parents and community members in actively participating at the school. And I have the Saturday Academy. That's through the NASA SEMA. The last day of the academy is actually a family cafe where the students actually teach the parents something that they learned. So they are being involved with that, plus they get a bunch of information. And as a matter of fact, this is a picture of the last family cafe that we had. It was standing room. Again, the sports. And this is for us is very important because we want to make sure that the parents are connected with the school, with the community, so they can actually see that we're on campus, we're there, and we want to be able to provide a safe environment for the students. As a matter of fact, during the summer while I was there were some students that would come by very respectfully, asked if they could use the campus, and of course we allowed them as long as we were on campus. Again, the Just Run, as a matter of fact, if you want to flip back just a little bit, you don't see a lot of parents here, but there were at least 20 to 30 parents that participated with their children, and because their children challenged their parents to actually come out and run with them. Parent trainings and meetings, cafecitos, Tuesday and Friday mornings, we have that. We're also talking about having some of those in the evenings for the parents as they're working during the day. Nutritional and physical education. This is something that we started last year with thanks of Mr. Stratton, and parents are continuing to want that, and we're going to proceed. Ovejas Bullying Prevention Program, like I mentioned earlier, the Restorative Justice and PBIS, which brings together the whole community, and we have Jose Arriola, who's going to be coming in and working during this his lunchtime to be the lead to have a student body at our campus. So again, our focus is fluency, reading comprehension, math intervention, of course the professional development, rally, common core state standards, which are over here using through Ed Caliber, and initiate the next generation science standards, so that way the teachers begin to get those ready. So, and here's our vision that we actually rewrote towards the end of the last year.
Any questions? Questions?
I just have one question. Are you still working with Hartnell with the NASA program?
Yes, ma'am, we are, and that's the NASA SEMA program that we have, yes. And we will be having 2 sessions, one in the fall and one in the spring.
Great.
Are you gonna have a science night for parents? Check it out.
Yes, and that's something that we're going to be working on, and I need to find the date so that way we could build a science night, and that way the students have science projects, present for the parents and all that, so yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Buenas noches. Our next school is Boronda Meadows.
Good evening. Is it good evening? Good evening, board members, Mr. President, Dr. Lusa, and community members. My name is Susana Mancera, and I'm the principal at Boronda Meadows Elementary School. And it's my pleasure to introduce or talk about my school today. So, Stan, can you hear me? So the demographics, total enrollment 784, and this information is based on CBEDS, so which from October of last year, but I can tell you that as of today, it's pretty similar, I mean in terms of enrollment, and growing. Subgroup enrollment, Hispanic Latino, 91.28%, ELs 482, which amounts to 61.4%, and socioeconomically disadvantaged, it's 89.16%. And then students with disabilities, 39.5%. And we have 3 guiding goals as part of our single plan, which mirror the district goals. So they're in sync with the district goals. And we have one around academics. And this is our goal, that every student will meet academic expectations to successfully transition into middle school. Our second goal relates to school climate and culture, and that is that the school will provide a positive, safe, and well-maintained learning environment. And third one is parent involvement. Their school will promote and develop positive relationships with all members of the school community. So as for academics, in the classroom, this is what we offer: Common Core standards-based instruction, and currently we're using Engage New York as the vehicle to teach the Common Core state standards. And we offer effective 21st century first teach, and that occurs or is provided by the homeroom teacher. Beyond the first teach, we have foundational literacy skill support, by the instructional assistants, and that is K-3. Intervention teacher, who will be teaching system 44, third grade students, and the intervention teacher, which will be also supporting 4th through 6th grade students, small group, with the supplemental program of corrective reading. We have Monterey County Reads tutors who come into the classroom and work with children. They read with children one-on-one. After school program, which is forthcoming to support in language arts and mathematics, and Saturday academies. We'll be having the NASA CIMA, which Los Padres is hosting as well, and we'll have 2 academies, one in the fall and one in the spring. We will also be holding a CELT Academy for our students at intermediate levels, which have basically stalled at the intermediate level. So we'll be providing that, and that'll be starting in a couple weeks. And our first CIMA Academy will be starting in a couple weeks as well. In terms of computer programs, support programs that we use at Rhonda Meadows, we have Accelerated Reader and Imagine Learning, and these are programs which promote foundational literacy skills as well as support reading, and we have the Best After School program. Goal number 2, school culture and climate. We have PBIS, which I'm very proud to say that we actually established a very strong committee at the school who's been very proactive. Teachers have been very supportive. We've established a school-wide